up, it's the Tim Stevenson Show. Welcome to the Tim Stevenson Show. This is Tim Stevenson, and my next guest, all the way from Los Angeles, California. She's a model, she's a creative, she's an actress, she's highly intelligent, and she happens to be drop dead gorgeous. My friend, Sydney Hamm.
You know how it is with these damn Zoom crap. So
I know. It's good to see you. How you doing?
It's been a minute. It's been a long minute. I've been okay. I've been, in the past couple months, not so much, but in general, I've been pretty good. I kind of went when COVID first happened. I decided I was gonna go to broadcast school because I needed to do something because everybody's sets were shut down, couldn't work. Nobody was going on tour. I was about to launch a girl who was going to open and spot dates for Justin Bieber. I was working with her, and then everything just went, everything got canceled. So you're just like, that sucks. You know how it is. And then trying to do, I was running off and doing random little gigs, but not the big ones. I even got asked to do production on a film in Atlanta because they were shooting at Tyler Perry Studios and some other stuff. But even then, they'd cut the budget so much. They were trying to pay people like, oh, you get like $200 for a 14-hour day. And I'm like, that's like $10 an hour. I could do that at the grocery store across the street. You know what I mean? Like, why am I going to go all the way to Atlanta to make nothing? Just like, and they want you to work as a local. So then you're not getting paid to stay there. They just want you to act like you live there.
Right.
Yeah, cool. But we got lots to talk about because I got a bunch of other fun stuff. So
omitted anyway.
Right.
I don't you know me.
Right.
I've been around for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very fortunate to have recently had the experience of working with a lot of big names, and I don't really get starstruck.
Right.
But can I tell you that 90 Day Fiancé has saved my pandemic existence.
Has it really?
I just started following Darcy on Instagram, and I am obsessed with her, and I want to work with her so bad. I don't know how. I was going to slide in her DMs and be like, hi, I love you. You're incredible. Thank you.
I can introduce you to Darcy.
Him?
I can do that.
I would die.
It's not even an issue. I could do that.
No, but I'm not even joking.
Yeah. So
I want to be part of her House of 11 campaign.
So you know how House of 11 got created, right? So they had a brother. They had a brother who died when he was 11.
Mm-hmm.
Their dad is owns an engineering company in China, right? Black guy, right? So
their dad?
Their dad is. Yeah.
Okay.
Their dad is black. How do I know that? Because if you go back, if I showed you this part, I can leave in. When I show you the pilot of my Business of Dance TV show, a couple of the first shots are me sitting next to Darcy because she's one of the judges. Because it's me, Darcy, her sister Stacy. Her dad was the mogul on my panel, along with Jason Derulo and Marguerite Derricks.
Okay.
So we go way back. I have a cartoon that's called Moet Jr. and Friends, and Darcy and Stacy are characters in my cartoon.
Shut up.
Oh, yeah. I should bring that back now because it'll probably get picked up because those two are killing it at the moment.
Because they're killing it because they have their show.
Yeah.
I just want to be their best friend.
Yeah.
I just want to hype them up. I'll follow them around with my little phone and take all their little social media pics. They're doing so well with TikTok.
Oh, they're killing it right now.
I just love them. I am not a reality TV person. That was never my thing. People used to say oh, you should go on America's Next Top Model. And I was like, I can't. But we sit around and watch 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days, 90 Day Fiancé,
right.
90 Day Fiancé.
They've been grinding for a long time, and I knew them before they had anything. House of 11 has been around, but before they were doing clothing, right? So House of 11 was the name of the clothing line, and then House of 11 became, and then their dad actually financed my pilot. So he is a multi-millionaire, and he used to build hospitals for people because his son died. And then he went on this mission, all this money he would make, he would open up hospitals for children who can't afford hospital care. And that's how kind of House of 11 was created. So I know it's crazy because I know the back. It's weird how this is going to be also on the podcast.
Yeah.
A lot of these people I've actually know now. I knew way back when. So it's a weird thing to see. So you know who Danny Lee is?
Yeah.
The singer Danny Lee. Right.
Yeah.
So one of my students here, Tyler, right, is a dancer, and he was like, "Oh man, I'm going to LA." And I was like, "I get you an agent." So I called Go-To Talent. I said, "Sign this kid, he's dope." And they sign everybody I send to them because everybody works, right? So they sign him. Boom, he gets a tour. The tour is Danny Lee. Well, he kept saying, "I'm on tour, Danny Lee. Thanks, Tim, this, that, and the other." And I'm like, Danny Lee. And I was like, I don't know why that sounds familiar, but I just kind of blew it off. Then I'm going through my Facebook, and I'm like, wait a minute. Danny Lee's last name is Curiel, right?
Yeah.
So her sisters were in a group called Curly Fries, or her and another sister, right?
Okay.
The mom, Vicky, used to blow me up and still does all the time with like, Curly Fries performing here, support us, this, that, and the other. And it turns out Danny Lee, here we go all the way back, was the one girl who were replacing a singer for Trinity in Burbank at the Plaza, which is across from the Grove.
Right.
During that time, my business partner, Harvey, this is how it goes full circle. This shit is incestual. Harvey's girlfriend is Darcy.
Right? Oh, okay.
So the reason why we got the thing financed is because Harvey was dating Darcy and got the dad to invest in what we were doing. Right.
Wow.
So it's like, but then Danny Lee ends up at the apartment auditioning to be the third singer of this group Trinity, who the lead singer quit out of nowhere and went back to Australia.
Okay.
And I was like, yo, it's crazy how, and then while we were looking for her, the other girl who we were trying to get, and we talked to the mom.
Yeah.
Was like, yeah, I want to be in this group. Great. Disappears off the face of the earth. That girl was Jessica Sanchez. She took second on American Idol like 4 years ago.
Good Lord.
And she has a song with Neo on her first record. She has like 3 songs with Neo on her first record.
That's casual. I mean, my gosh, anybody I could think of, anybody I feel like I could name in the industry, like there is somebody that I've met who I know well.
Right.
Who knows that? like you're literally that connecting piece. You know how they say everything is 6 degrees, no more than 6 degrees?
Absolutely.
Like I have you and I have like 4 other people who are like my 1 degree. Like
you're like, oh, these 1 degree people. It's crazy because you see them when they're on their way up, you know, and then they blow up, forget you, of course, you know, and then, you know, that happens. I mean, I think Darcy and Stacey, they will hit me up on Instagram randomly about stuff, but the problem with that is that Darcy's the person in her mind that sticks out the most that she hates is Harvey.
Right.
And
right.
When Harvey got married, and he's divorced now, when he got married, I was the best man in his wedding. So there's this, you know what I mean? But like, I have no ill will towards them. It's just, and then Stephanie, who was the model that was on it, that's how this whole thing got started, was Stephanie was in the group Trinity. So that's why she knows Darcy and Stacey, because it's all connected.
Okay. Yeah. That's so funny.
It's Hollywood. You know what I mean? It's just, it is what it is.
It's a big industry, but a very small world.
Yeah. So I'm going to do your introduction later. We're just going to keep talking.
Okay.
So I just, like, I have a list of stuff that because I haven't talked to you for so long. I know, you know, we touch base on Instagram and whatnot, but just wanted to, you know, and also because in my podcast, when I first started, it was like Miguel, and then Matt and I, who's an actor, comedian, and Brandon, who's an actor. And I was like, man, it's male heavy. So then I interviewed Steph, and then I interviewed my friend, Jen Ted Morey, who used to be one of my students, but she's a lawyer now was the Anaheim Angels. Okay. And she's all grown up now, but it was just crazy. But she's a dancer, so it was a weird dynamic. It's just like my friend Danny, who worked at Disney, but he's also Secret Service. Like, it's just
how interesting. Yeah, everybody's
weird, like, right? People just like, I want to go join the army. You're like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, I needed some color, because I was like, so I entered. Everybody else was something else, right? So it was like, okay, well, Miguel's Puerto Rican, and Matt's white, and Steph's white, and I was like, okay, well, I need Wandrell. He's black from Chicago, so that was cool because I got this whole Chicago side now. That's like people from my broadcast school that are like, oh, we're hip to Tim's thing or whatever. I was like, I need more girls of color, you know, or at least darker than the norm. And I was like, So I went through my list, and I was like, you, and there was like 2 other people, and I was like, all right, cool. Let's see if I can make this happen. My other friend's Yana, and Yana used to be that lead singer in the group with Steph. But Yana is in Australia, so if I interview here, it's going to be like 3:00 in the morning, like some crazy. Really? I mean, I'll do it, no big deal, you know. But she's busy with singing and whatnot. So what have you been doing? I know modeling, acting, right?
Uh-huh.
I mean, you tell me, what's anything fun happening right now?
Yeah, I mean, my goodness. It's funny because usually I have my sisters sitting next to me and I'm like, you guys, the family just asked me what I'm doing. What am I doing? Because like, I'm so tired. Like in a good way,
Right.
And before I like get on a roll, because you know me and I adore you, I will talk for ages. I do want to say thank you for having me
Oh,
on. And
absolutely.
on.
Oh,
I'm
you're
so
always on my list. You've been on
uh,
my list forever. You know what I mean? I just
bless
think
you.
because we have just a cool connection as people, and I
Yeah.
like to keep those people around because I'm all about family. So it's like, look, if I can help your career, and I can help my friends and the small circle of people that I do consider good people, then we'll be like the Adam Sandler, and you always see your friends in the same project. You know what I mean? Because
Well, thank
no
you.
one's doing that for us, so we got to create that.
I mean, and that's the thing is like, I have people messaging me like, oh my God, you've made it. And I'm like, I'm working, I'm listening. Like,
Right.
like for whatever,
Right.
quote unquote made it is,
Right.
because, usually it's people outside the industry who don't really understand. So like the appearance is all that they know.
Right.
So they see I'm busy. So like, oh my God, you've done it.
Right.
But like, that's neither here nor there. But what I was starting to say was like, no matter what or where I am, what level of success I think I've achieved, it's always been very important to me to never forget who helped me and then turn
Right.
around and try to give, pass that on. So
Right.
like, you say you'll always think of me. I always think of you for anything.
Thank
And
you.
like, hopefully, I know that I'm, I still consider myself to be kind of in the beginnings, even though I've been doing this for 7 years.
Right.
I've been signed for 7 years and working consistently pretty
Nice.
much. Thank you. Yeah.
Nice.
So, okay. Looping back, answering the question, fun things.
Yes.
So right before the crazy times
Mm-hmm.
and, all this isolation and quarantining and everything, I actually landed a gig through my acting agent as a live show host. So I am currently a live stream show host on a shopping app called Romway,
Nice.
which
Okay.
if you were like listeners, viewers, I don't know if this is going to be a video medium too.
Oh, yes, absolutely. By the way, I'm building this podcast just so you know, right?
Yeah.
You'll be one of the first to know out of the 7 people. On Saturday, I'm working, and I don't mean to cut you off, but on Saturday, I'm building with the company out here called 305, which is like a boxing MMA thing. But we just got signed in connection with Kachita Universal Studios, which now means we have not only a podcast space, but they're trying to get Tim, like the Tim Stevenson show on 305, which is also going to be on Spotify.
That's amazing.
We shall see. Yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
I'll be thinking good Spotify thoughts.
So
all
the
right.
platform is like, so yes, I'm trying to get this like, so now they're all, you got a bunch of MMA people going to follow you after this because now they're following me because of 305.
I mean, hey, I welcome it. Your girl follows back. It's all the community. I have like weirdly a lot of really good friends that I've never actually met in person or only met once because we're all hyping each other up and like trying to pass things around and mention each other's names and stuff in rooms of opportunity. But yeah, so if listeners know the clothing company Shein, because that's the bigger one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Romway is their sister. It's like their baby. So I actually landed the job at the ground floor because they've been doing this for Shein. So like Shein's shows will have something like 500,000 viewers in the live hour. We are coming in at like 2 to 6,000, maybe 10 during the live hour because we're building this baby.
Okay.
But it's amazing because there are just so many opportunities. Your girl kind of, I mean, like I am an actor and a modeler. Like I considered those two my professions first or primarily. And really it started with acting and then I just had a growth spurt and was like, well, what can we do with this? She is not athletically inclined, so
well, you're not trying to get you're not gonna do a soccer movie, maybe, but like, you could do it.
Yeah, really, no. we could do the double. We could do like
well, although Hope, what's her name, is like 6 feet tall. She's
right.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that. That has been incredible. It's taught me a lot about content creation. So now, I'm doing a lot of like digital work and virtual work.
Nice.
And they actually converted the show. Like I said, I landed that literally the week that the stay-at-home order, the first one, went into effect. Oh, wow. So we filmed the show in studio. And then 2 days later, or like a day later, the stay-at-home order went in. So they completely, I thought like, okay, well, that's the end of that job. A month later, they didn't call us back. And then a month later, they said, hey, we've been quiet for a month because we've been working on revamping it so that you can stream from home and we can still do this. So that has been actually the reason that in 2020, with all the devastation and travesty and everything, you know, trying to look for some silver lining. My little silver lining is, one, I've gotten to be home with my family more, and I was traveling a lot, so that is very precious to me.
Nice.
And then two, I became a full-time creative in 2020.
Nice.
So I got to quit the day job. I actually went back to it because I missed missed the people. So
You're
I'm
like, hi,
well,
I'm only here temporarily. I'm gonna bounce
hi.
out, but just know what's up.
Then I'm modeling and doing things with brands virtually, because I'm trying to, you know, my parents are immunocompromised. So I want to just make sure that I do what I can personally to keep them safe. And then we're still doing the acting auditions. I actually just landed a commercial with my two younger sisters. We got to work on the same set for the first time.
That is cool.
Yeah, thank you. So prior to that, I had a commercial with one sister, with my youngest sister. I'm the oldest of three. We're very, very close. I know you know this.
Yeah.
Every other post I have on any social media about that. But the youngest and I had a TV commercial, and that was our first national spot years ago. And then I got a TV show pilot thing with the middle sister. So I had gotten to work with both. And now this commercial that we just filmed, which I don't think I can say what it is yet, because I'm trying to think of what the NDA said.
You're like,
but
don't get in trouble for that.
let me not
they will get you on that one. They're like,
yeah,
don't say anything.
Not yet. But I can say we did the commercial, and that was the first time we got to work together, and that was amazing. And the director was a performer that we really look up to, but we didn't know it was her, because we looked at the call sheet and we saw the name, and we were like, oh, this is so cool, we have a female director, amazing, girl power, da da da. And then we got there, and my sisters recognized her voice, because we just didn't even put two and two together. Like, we know the name, like, you know the name, I'll tell you after.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden, we all, you know, we're trying to play it cool, and all of a sudden we just all look at each other, because we have like twin telepathy, triplet telepathy. Right. None of us we're not triplets.
But you have that connection. You're like, I know what you're thinking.
That.
Yeah.
Exactly. And all of a sudden we look up and we go, is it? And we didn't even say anything, but literally our expressions were like, is this who we think it is? Oh my God, it is. And then we like pull out our phones real quick to like look at the name one more time. And then we're like listening to the voice, because everybody's masked up. So we're listening to the voice. And then that's
some voices though, they can't hide. Yeah. I mean, they
try. Yeah. Like this one was really distinctive, because we love her so much, and she's really big on representation and opportunity for men and women, and it's so we were furry.
But it's those voices, even with the mask on, because I remember I didn't have a mask on, but I was at Showstopper Dance Convention, and this woman starts talking, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she sounds just like Jamie Lee Curtis. Literally.
Like casual.
I was just like,
casual.
Oh. Her daughter's a dancer, and I was like, because you can't escape that voice. It'd be like, Cardi B. It's Cardi B when she talks.
Exactly. So I mean, it's been interesting, and because 2020 has been the year that I've worked the most, but I'm not going anywhere. Like I'm also working on a podcast with I call him my mentor. He's the photographer who actually taught me how to be a model. Okay. And his name is Dimitri Loasso. He is magical and wonderful, and I adore him. He's like an industry dad to me.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's great. And so he ended up calling me because he was bringing me in on, he taught me how to be a model years ago, and his team and everything. And then they were watching my growth on social media. And then this time last year, I was doing a 6-week stint in New York working while my boyfriend at the time was doing a show on Broadway. And he called me and he was like, you've been working. And I was like, I've been trying. He goes, well, when you come home, I have work for you. And I was like, great.
Right.
And so then, you know, we come home, I get to do like a couple shoots as the featured model, which was a big deal for me because it felt just like full circle. And like, oh my gosh, look at what I've learned. And it started because again, never forget where you came from or who helped you.
Exactly.
He, you know, he was like, everybody needs that break. I want to help be that for you. So let me teach you what I know. And then, you know, and he's this high-end editorial photographer. He works with every name that you've ever heard in your life.
Right.
So I got like that A1 education.
Yeah.
Like just out of the goodness of this man's heart. And so then the pandemic, we have to cancel work. He calls me up. He goes, I need to do something. We have to, like, I have all these bookings. We can't do the photo shoots. I want to turn it into a podcast. And I want to do a podcast about, you know, industry professionals in front of and behind the camera and what their journeys look like, because there's no one right way to do it.
Right.
You know what a podcast should be because we've talked about it before. And like, I'm 25. So he was like, you can bridge the gap. So do you want to come on as writer and associate producer? So obviously I was like, yes.
Oh, absolutely. That's the smartest thing to do, especially for someone your age who doesn't understand what that really means. Because
exactly,
when you become the creative as well as the person on the other side of the camera, especially from the gate, from such a young age, is that you're already building like a dynasty for later, because now people are looking at you in more than one aspect already. And for people in your age group who are just doing nothing, you know what I mean, or just waiting for it to fall in their lap, or I have this conversation with Chicago kids all the time. They're so concerned with personalities that they miss out on business all the time. I don't really like the teachers, how he talks. Who cares? He has an Emmy. You know what I mean?
Like, and so, I mean, there's like a fine line to walk with that, you know, because but I think I'm just very lucky because I'm surrounded by a lot of good people, like a lot of kind people who keep reaching back and remembering me when there are opportunities, you know? So I always sound like a broken record because I'm constantly saying thank you to everybody. But like, that's all I have to, you know, let people know how grateful I am and how, you know, I'm not missing the fact that like, you didn't have to call me. You didn't have to call me for this, you know? But you did, and I'm so excited because one, you're my friend, and like I'm very excited to talk to you. And then two, like it's kind of bizarre for me because it's the first time that I'm on this end. You know, I'm usually helping to interview, or like I'm behind the scenes messaging on Zoom privately to the host, to like Dimitri and his co-host Miss Val, which by the way, the podcast is called The Regard Breakdown.
The Regard Breakdown.
I'm gonna check that. Yes. Yeah. We have some really cool guests too.
See, that's awesome though that you're doing, because I do that for 305. So originally they brought me in to be a tech guy, help with their podcast. And what ended up happening is they're using like Sling TV and some cool components. If you just have like a camera and two iPhones, even iPhone shoots in 4K, it looks like real TV.
Exactly.
But then I was like, they were shooting fighters, and I was like, if you shoot fighters with a camera on a tripod, it's not gonna look that dope. So I broke out my gimbal, and I was like, and they were like, so now I'm director. So
and it's like weird. It's weird. Like I was looking at my little mini list of like my jobs that I have in my Instagram bio, because everyone, all the casting directors, all the, you know, agencies, everybody is looking at Instagram still, even though algorithms are changing, whatever. And I was like, I kind of have a long, like, it's kind of a developed list now. Like, you know, I just produced my own photo shoot for the first time, and I produced a concept film with it.
Nice.
And I served as director, producer, creative director, stylist, and I was the featured and only model.
Wow.
And it got published in an international magazine.
Nice.
So
see?
Thank you.
See, these things are supposed to happen, especially to good people. You know what I mean? You know, I've been in Hollywood so long, and, you know, you see a lot of people like that undeserving, in my opinion, of things because they're just kind of born into it, but they take it for granted and they treat people like crap. And I was like, yeah, I can do that. You know, like I've even had people who I had friction with who ended up having mutual respect because I didn't let them treat me like that. And that, you know, I can mention his name. So Benny Medina is Jennifer Lopez's manager. He's more of the drama queen than her, right? But he's really good at his job. Like he repped J-Lo, Mariah Carey, and Diddy all at the same time, right? And
Wow.
then, yeah. And then he's the executive producer of World of Dance. So if you
Okay,
watch
yeah.
the credits, he's on there.
Mm-hmm.
So he's really good at his job.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's in that particular time when we were doing the tour, there was a lot of things he was trying to get over on us, I thought, because we're dancers. Even though we were friends with Chris, I was at the wedding. You know what I mean? So it was like, okay, but we're grown men. You know what I mean? So I'm like, but when somebody tries to, like, how it is in Hollywood, if someone's got money and they don't have any common sense, they just treat people like shit all day long. You're like, so he was just doing what he always does. Oh, you guys should work for free for us the last week because we're doing a show for the troops in Ramstein, Germany. And I said, yeah, but Jessica Simpson was here last week and she got $1 million. And you're going to tell me Jennifer Lopez is not getting the same or more? Mind you, he's telling me this while we're in the most expensive hotel in London. And he just walked across the street and told Armani to dress him head to toe. Doesn't matter what it costs.
Yeah.
He spent more money than he would have paid all of us for that week. And he's already a multimillionaire associate. But because Tim was like, this is dope. I love the opportunity. But if you're not going to pay me for this past week, and I know everyone's getting paid, including you, you can send me home. You can send me back to LA. And of course, Jen got wind of that. She was like, no, because I was the dude who was Mr. Full Out, Mr. Always on Time, Mr. Whatever.
Right.
I just didn't want anybody to jack me. I'm like, don't jack me, man. We're here working our asses off. You know what I mean? But because I did that, every other time I talked to Benny McDee, he was like the nicest person in the world. I think it's just when people sometimes are so used to doing that with people, whether it's the valet guy or whatever, right? No one ever stands up to them because they just think, oh my God, it's Benny and Benny represents Jen and this and that and the other. And I was like, I could care less if you're a star. Because I've been around so many stars. Even the first star, I didn't care. I didn't treat Prince like that. I didn't treat, Janet when I'm like. So why would I care what you say? You know what I mean? It was just one of those things like, you're not going to jack me, and I won't let it. And I'm willing to lose my job to not do that too. And other dancers didn't. And that was the part about being an entertainer that dancers and models and singers and whatever do all the time, is that they sell their soul because they think they have to,
Yeah. It's interesting being like, I thank my mom all the time. I knew I wanted to be a performer from the time I was small. She is a stunning singer. She is like, I have had the privilege of studying under some of the industry greats, like current greats. She could blow them all out of the water. And that's completely like all biases aside. She is just the most empathetic, most compassionate she can find. She can put herself in whatever character situation. She hasn't acted in years, but she's been my coach my whole life because this is what I wanted to do. And I say like, she's all the greatest parts of a stage mom or like a momager. But it stops at, is this making you happy or not? Right. If the answer is any kind of hesitation, she's like, all right, then let's wrap it up. Let's go, But, that's not me though. Like, I've been like,
yeah,
I can't do anything but this.
Yeah.
But she did not want me, my sisters and I, we had really long attention spans as kids. Like, we watched all the old TV shows. We learned about our comedic timing from I Love Lucy and I Dream of Jeannie and, Andy Griffith's show and all the oldies, because this is, it was kind television. Right. It was not like sassy little teenagers or tweens, talking back and everything. This is related, I promise. Yeah. But she did that. She carved that out for us to make sure that we understood, like, as people, as performers, like, what it really is to be funny, what it really is to, this, that, and the other. So we were ready as kids to just go, to just be performers and like do our thing on stage and all of that. Like, we knew. And I knew from when I was like 3 years old, because my mom sang at a wedding, and I was like, I want to do what mommy does. And she's a teacher now. Like I say, my parents have like real people. For those who are just listening, I'm doing air quotes. Jobs.
Real people jobs. I get it. I totally get it. Yeah.
My dad is a business exec. My mom is a teacher. They're both brilliant at what they do, but they were both performers. And so that's why they're so supportive of me and my sisters now. But my mom was adamant she did not want me to do this until I was at least 18. Because which it was actually around the time I met you.
Okay.
Like I was just barely getting started, and that's when I was starting to come in, and I was like, I just got signed, Tim.
Right. I was like,
I have thank you. Like I have but like little baby Sid, who was 18 but looked like she was, 15, 14, 15 on the outside.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Like I have an audition. I'm so sorry. Can I miss class? And you're like, yes.
Yes, of course.
I was like, God bless this man. but she wouldn't let me do anything till I was 18 because she wanted me to be able to advocate for myself. That's how it relates. Is she wanted me to be able to, stand up for myself. So no matter what, in whatever business dealings I have, which now are international, and I'm dealing with a lot of different dynamics and a lot of different customs and a lot of different, attitudes, which can be difficult.
That's tough, especially being a female. When
Yes,
you're traveling around the world where male dominance is still a thing.
Yep.
Well,
I'm a female, I'm young, and I'm perceived as younger than I am. I think because I try to be kind always, even when I'm firm, where I want to be respectful of everyone's time and my own. So I'm perceived, I'm a woman, I'm perceived as young, and then I'm Black. Or something, but I'm brown, I'm a mixed baby. People like that comes with a lot of prejudices. It comes with a lot of conceived notions. It comes with a lot of, I couldn't tell, like, this isn't a dating podcast, but like the number of people who thought I was going to be like way wild because of my job or because of my skin color and have expressed that to me. Like, I don't say that just like guessing.
Yeah.
They have said it to me.
Well, because they had a preconceived notion of how they think you are based on the unreality of actually knowing you. But I get that they go, okay, she's young, she's from Hollywood, this, that, you know what I mean? Like, it's like me being in country music. I went to choreograph in country in Nashville for Jody Messina and some other artists on tour.
Yeah.
And, the hillbilly dudes from like Kentucky were like, he's Black and he's a dancer. That means he's gay. You know what I mean? It's like, back, I don't know how many years ago that was, but even then, they, that was like a thing. Like in country music, like you can't be gay in country music.
Yeah,
it's like you can't be gay in R&B music. You know what I mean? Like,
It's not that there is absolutely nothing wrong.
Right.
But, be whatever you're going to be. But at that time, that area being, I can only imagine, being a Black man in that area, and then having people assume, even further about you. Probably safety was on the line.
I mean, they were like, so then my buddy Sean was the merch guy. So he's like, yo, we're going to stop. We're in the middle of Podunk somewhere. We're going to stop. We're going to jump on our bus. We're going to drink beers with the boys in the back. It's like, cool. Well, little do they know, I was a sports guy my whole life until I went to college, and then I went to I was a performing arts major. But I said I could put back beers with the best of them. So like we were back there chugging beers and talking, and the next thing they're like, we love Tim. Tim's cool. He's cool. He like him. He's cool. Like, because they were expecting something else, and what they got was just a normal dude who like was comfortable in his own skin. Even I'm going to places where people are pulling up in Confederate flags, but I'm the dude putting the whole concert together, and they don't know that. And but now the tech guys are like, oh, Tim's great, this, that, and the other. But they always had this thing, like, oh, yeah, you're gonna be that way, and he's probably gonna be. Let me guess, he likes rap music and marijuana. Like, okay,
yeah,
you know what I mean. So I'm sure you get it, and especially in countries, I don't know which countries you've been to, but I've been to some where like, if you talk to a tech guy or a crew guy with any sort of assertion as a woman, like by law, they could punish you. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Morocco's like that.
I have yet to actually go and work outside of the country physically because of the pandemic. Like, so while we were all in lockdown and we've been working from home and all of this, that's when I actually got my contract with my model agency that is now in London. After this, I have a meeting with another model agency, so we'll see. Fingers crossed.
There you go.
We're like building up the team here, but so it's going to be interesting, and that's something that I've been mindful about because, like Dimitri, the photographer, he has connections in the is it United Arab Emirates?
Yeah.
Yes. I wanted to make sure I said
You need to make sure that they
I
fly
need to make
you
sure.
on Emirates.
Yeah.
That is
Really though.
Oh, their first class is like wipes every first class in America to pieces.
Oh yeah, I believe he is
Yeah.
such a fan. He speaks so highly of it, and so he was planning he had a couple trips planned and everything, and now because I also will be launching my own line 2021 2022ish.
Okay.
And so we're looking at like what runway shows are we going to try to be a part of, and what this and what that, and you know, he loves it there, so he was like, obviously you have to go. And I'm just sitting here thinking like, you know, I'm 25. I feel like a 10-year-old because I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing or where I'm going.
Yes, but it's exciting,
But then, like,
though, isn't it?
But it's exciting. And to be honest with you, like I'm a grown person. I have my degree. I am a writer, and I am capable of communicating and doing my business dealings. And so throughout the pandemic, I've been able to have my international communications with, you know, like Romway is based in China. We have a US headquarters.
Okay.
But they're based in China. Then my agency is in London. We're talking about doing Paris, Milan, and London Fashion Weeks next year and all of that. So there's a lot happening. So even though I don't necessarily know firsthand, because I haven't been there physically to work, how it's going to be. Like I went to Europe when I was 17 with my high school Spanish class. But as an adult, we haven't gone beyond.
Oh, really?
Borders. Yeah, not yet. So 2021.
My favorite place.
2021. Well, and you know, I mean, it's hard because we've had so much happen this year. Financially, health-wise, politically, all of the things. Like it's wild, and a lot of it affected me very deeply. And
I was going to say, how did that affect you? Let's pick one point of that. Let's just start with, because it was the first time in a long time I had a real emotional reaction to something. But when the whole George Floyd thing happened,
that's what I was going to say. Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, there were people on Facebook that I was like, man, I didn't realize how racist people are really. You just like, and then friends and losing this over that, and then turning it political and doing all these other things, and people like excusing the fact that you're standing on this man's neck. He says he can't breathe, and there's 3 of you, and he's cuffed.
Crying out for his mother.
I had issues, like big issues with that, because I just was like, yo, when is this gonna stop? Like I
mean, you know, there were days I did not want to get out of bed. There were conversations a lot within my family, because we've always had these conversations. You know, my mom is white, my dad is a dark Black man. He is, you know, what people would call articulate. He is smart. He is, you know, he is a professional. He wears a suit to work every single day. He is a high level executive in his company, and he's been brutalized by police. So this now, and let me make it clear for everybody listening or watching, I'm in no way anti-cop. I'm in no way, you know, whatever. I think it's a little insane that I have to.
But you even have to say that. That's what I'm.
That I have to say it. That I have to say it, or else people are going to turn off whatever they're watching, whatever they're listening to, or they're going to come after me on social media, what have you. You know, I have people in the armed forces in my family, like, and we are having open conversations about things all the time, and they are of all colors, they're of all classes, all creeds. But this was hard because I think it was the first time that people were really sitting up and paying attention, and I had a lot of people coming to ask me, is this real? Is this really what you go through? And learning for the first time certain knowledge. They're learning about certain knowledge that I have had to absorb and maintain since
birth. Exactly.
For survival, for my own survival.
Absolutely.
And they had the option of listening, of even listening, you know? So it was really hard. And it's interesting because, like, you know, I don't have that many followers on social media right now. Like we've been building whatever, like I'm just doing my thing. And I have to put my phone down. I don't post as much as a lot of creatives because I have to stay away from it, or else it will make me neurotic. Like,
Right.
you know, it's a very unhealthy place to be, especially when you're in an industry that is so heavily reliant on looks, on the appearance of success, on, you know, like imposter syndrome, etc.
Yeah.
So for me, I was gonna just stay away and I was gonna stay quiet. And then I realized, you know, I have a platform with Romway has 2.2 million followers, right? Sheehan has 42 million. We have a big audience. I have access to a big audience. And we were supposed to do a show that, like, the day that George Floyd went big in the media, right? Like, it happened and it was weird. It happened, we heard about it, but then it was like weird for a few days.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it just exploded.
It was like
Exploded.
Crazy.
And the day it exploded is the day I was supposed to have a show, and I was just like sick, because how can it's a clothing company. Like, I am so grateful for this job. I am so grateful for the people I work with. And thank God I work with them, because they understood without me even having to say it that I was going to be sick, having to do a show, having to do my job, talking about things that I felt were frivolous and pointless in light of what was happening.
Correct.
You know?
Yeah.
And when it was hitting me so deeply. So thank God my producer at the time, her name was Nicole Kisby. She is wonderful. She called me and she said, we want to have a meeting. How'd you feel about weighing in on it? We had a phone meeting, group phone meeting, and we decided to postpone the show. And that's when I realized, like, okay, yes. And then the long story short is they ended up giving me the green light to devote an entire hour to just educating our audience.
Yeah.
So I did an entire Black Lives Matter show. I did a statement. I wrote like this like letter of a statement for our viewers, and they responded really well, really beautifully. We're very lucky to have followers and viewers who are really loving, and they're from all over the country, and they're from all sorts of different backgrounds and everything. And a lot of them, you know, a lot of them at first were like, and then, but they were listening and willing to listen. And that's all you can ask for.
And that's the thing. If they listen,
you
can educate people on stuff that they just take for granted because they don't have to think about those things.
Yeah.
But just like any black or half black, brown, whatever, we were taught as kids how to talk to a cop.
Yep.
You're going to get this. You're going to get this. So when the whole thing of like white people who are like upset about Black Lives Matter or having to say all lives matter is a rebuttal to Black Lives Matter, and just not wanting to understand what it actually means that Black Lives Matter is, wants to be included in all lives matter.
Yeah.
But like, do I need to spell it out for you? No, because they didn't want to hear it in the first place. So I was like, I had to tell this girl from high school, she's like, I'm not privileged. I'm not this. I'm not that. I go, privilege isn't stuff you have. It's not, hey, I got really dope Tom Fords at home and I'm privileged. It's the fact that when I walked down the street in high school, I had stopped by a cop and asked if I lived in the neighborhood. You didn't have that problem.
Yeah.
That's the privilege. Then they're like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not what you have, it's what you don't have to think about or worry about, because it won't affect you.
Yeah.
In the same way. Well, and so like that was like what was interesting. My favorite analogy was, if, you know, a house is on fire and the firefighters come and they start to put out the fire, and some neighbor comes up and goes, well, what about all the other houses? All the other houses matter.
Right.
Well, those houses aren't on fire. They don't need your help right now. They don't need our help right now. These do. This one that's on fire.
I did the same thing to somebody, but I did it where I gave this guy an analogy and then it hit home. I said, your kid goes to my dance convention. And during the convention, she falls and breaks her ankle. Right? And I run in the room because everyone wants to pay attention to your kid. And I go, all kids matter. And then he goes, oh, that's exactly what you're doing. Right? Of course, all kids matter. But if I ran the room and said, don't give her any attention because all kids matter, but she's the one that's hurt right now. Isn't that what we focus on? But people don't want to hear it. And they didn't want to learn, and they didn't want to open up their mind. But then when people did, like I had people who were like, oh, my Black Lives Matter did a march in San Clemente. And I was like, did you go see it? They go, no. I go, there wasn't one black person in the Black Lives Matter march in San Clemente. There were white people who believe in Black Lives Matter. because it's the overall thing that they're trying to get across. It's not about just being black. You know what I mean? But so all these white kids who are out here protesting is because they got black friends, they like black culture, all these things. They're like,
Black
look,
family,
black lives do matter.
family.
Black,
Yep.
Because we matter. So why don't they matter?
Right.
But when people don't want to hear it, they just, all lives matter and this and that and the other, and you're perpetuating stuff that's not true, and you're going to erase history by knocking down a statue. I go, look, I don't think you should knock down statues. Put all the shitty statues in a museum, like Museum of Tolerance, and learn from it. I don't think you should tear it down. But
we learn about the travesty, the absolute horrific event of the Holocaust, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
But they don't have statues up of Hitler because, as it, my friends from Germany have said, like, we learn about it in depth and we are ashamed as a nation. But and someone, I wish I remembered who said it, but it was a political commentator on the news, and they said America is not unique in its problems or its dichotomies. We are unique in our inability to acknowledge our own history,
right?
It's so that's true. The thing. So like for me, when it came to dealing with this, I started speaking out more because, like I said earlier, I don't have as many followers as some models, some actresses, whatever, but I have access to a huge platform, and it felt irresponsible for me to have to go and talk about clothing without first acknowledging
you feel
happening.
I did the same thing. Like I was quiet for a while.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
But I'm like, yeah, but what does it do? It doesn't help to be quiet about anything. So I started slowly, like, without getting into arguments, just trying to educate people. Like, people were talking about, because then, everything got lumped in after George Floyd, and it was like back to the Kaepernick conversation and like all these other things. I was like, first of all, my dad's military, right? I got my dad's flag when he died. We had people doing the whole, when my dad died, like a military burial.
Right.
I said, lumping in politics and Kaepernick taking a knee over a stand of police brutality, it's not one and the same. None of you people in this room stand up and put your hand over your heart when you're at home on your couch drunk during the national anthem.
Right.
So stop telling me that it's unpatriotic that somebody wants to take a knee and be silent.
Right.
Right. So I go, my dad fought in the same war as your dad. The only difference is when my dad came home, they were like, you can't go in that bathroom.
Yeah. Or like
he's drink out of that fountain. You know what I mean? I'm like, so it's not the same for everybody. But I had to start, like, because there was a point where I was like, I'm just going to be quiet. I was like, well, being black and being quiet is not the answer,
Yeah, I mean, and that's something too, is, one of my sisters said, like, I have been, because I posted at one point and I said, for those of you who are, speaking out, checking in, learning, expanding your knowledge, thank you. I see you. It's appreciated. And for those of you who are staying quiet, your silence is very loud. Right. And I ended up, so what was interesting was my attitude was, I'm not going to shove anything down your throat, because I never in my life will I ever believe that my opinion is more important than anyone else's. But my personal morals dictate that you treat everyone with decency, and respect. Absolutely. And so I was just putting out information and saying, hey, someone via social media, on my stories, my posts, whatever, saying, hey, someone goes through this. I learned what racism was when I was 6 years old. When did you? Yeah. And it was sparking conversations, but the general attitude, again, was like, someone someone you claim to love. Like a lot of my friends from college who like, oh my gosh, I'd do anything for you. I was like one of the only Black girls in my sorority at the time. Someone and claim to love goes through this. This is real. Right. It is close to home. It is closer to home than you want to think. Right. So are you listening, or are you absorbing? It's a lot. I understand. Yeah. It's a lot when it is not what you have grown up to know.
Yeah, well,
it's a lot when it is.
It's unlearning what you know.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's a lot to learn about all at once, the way that this all came about. And so my sister, my youngest sister, she said, well, you posted about how people are being silent. I don't think she'll, like, she's brilliant. My two younger sisters are brilliant. and compassionate and kind and loving and talented and all of that. I could sing their praises for years. But it was interesting because she said, I feel bad because I feel like I'm one of the ones staying quiet. And I was like, well, here's the thing, honey bun.
Right.
You're a little Black girl. Like, yeah. I understand, you know, people saying like, well, you're a Black person, you should be speaking up and speaking out. But to be honest, like, we have, you know, it's like hard to exist sometimes.
That's the part that I would banter with people about. I go,
yeah,
because people say stupid things like write a letter. Yeah. The only reason that riots exist, the only reason that confrontation exists is because people don't listen. In the history of this world, we bomb and people listen. We put a bomb in Hiroshima. We had World War I, World War II, Vietnam. You can't tell me that people, when they actually want a movement to happen, it comes without confrontation. It always does. Right? So,
yeah, I don't pretend to understand or be capable of making big decisions like that, because that, you know, Hiroshima was god awful, you know, on par with the Holocaust to me. You know, it is god awful and horrific and devastating and has consequences to this day. But you know, something that someone did say to me one time was like, well, you know, because we all have to sit here and say, obviously we don't condemn violence, or we don't condemn. We don't condone
violence. Yeah,
combining my
yeah.
That's the thing, is like, it's just bizarre to me that talking about basic human decency has caused me to lose friends. It's caused me to, like, my God, there was one who he was family. His mother considered me a daughter. Like, we were friends for years, and he decided that, again, I was never yelling, never telling anybody, if you believe this or you support this candidate or you do da 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 da, you're a terrible person. I was just saying, this is happening. Like, this is real.
It's real.
It's real. Your friend is hurting.
Yeah.
Black people are tired.
Yeah.
Can you listen? Just listen.
Yeah.
You know, just listen at your own pace, whatever. And this particular friend decided that I was like crying over spilled milk, and he cut me off from everything. Like I would have been in his wedding. I know I would have been, and he would have been in mine. He was family. And so that one hurt a lot, but like, I absolutely don't regret speaking up or speaking out. And because of the show that I did, and because I did end up releasing like my own quote unquote statement or whatever on my own social media page, people started asking me to speak more. And so I started doing more like IG lives and more speaking engagements virtually and things. Because I did a lot of Africana studies classes through college. Like, I know my
Wasn't that crazy though? When you learned all the things in college that they lied about in high school.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, wait, what? They didn't tell us that. They didn't tell us that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's like, okay, let's just use Africa as an example.
Yeah.
Most white people believe that everybody in Africa is Black until I go, you ever been to Egypt? Huh?
Yeah.
Egypt is all, people are white in Egypt, but they're Africans. You know, the reason why apartheid exists is because there were Black and white people in Africa, and most people who don't do their homework think Africa is a country.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing that, you know, of all developed nations in the world, we are so egocentric.
Oh yeah, but we painted that picture since the beginning of time. I mean, this country was stolen in the first place, and people still have a problem with saying that you're not from here. Oh really? You tell the Indians they're not from
here? Honey, neither are you. Yeah.
Right. Wait, you're Irish, right? That's not here. You're Italian, right? That's not here. Because Italians actually believe.
Yep.
They hate that when you call it's called Indigenous something's Day, but what do we call it? Memorial Day or something like that?
Oh, Columbus Day.
Columbus Day, right?
Yeah,
but when people say they call it Italians get pissed. I said, but you're Italian. You wave an Italian flag, which is a foreign country, but because you're Italian American and you're trying to say that the Italians were the first kind of ones here. But just saying that you're Italian and that you're here means you're an immigrant.
We're all from someplace else. Life started in Africa. Like, I'm sorry if this is too much for the people listening or watching.
No, this is the one that gets everybody. I was in a bar once, some guy was piping up about something, and I said, so do you believe that Adam and Eve are the first two people in the world? He's like, yes. I go, you know that if you believe that, that means we're all related. that means we're all ancestrally connected. If there were only 2 people in the earth. Wait, what? Because they just start saying stuff. If you move 1 billion people to believe what you believe, whether it's good or bad, you're a good leader. So when I say it like that, they go, oh, that's the response I was trying. I said, what were you trying to get? You're comparing him to Hitler. It's not the same. Hitler wanted genocide. We're talking about a president. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I think, we're in polarizing times. We've lived in polarizing times.
Yeah.
People just don't expect, they just want to shout and they want a reaction because they want an argument. Like, I think people are fueled by it. And then when they don't get the response that they're expecting, then they have to sit there and think, oh, well, why? Wait. And then they don't like having to question why they do maintain these beliefs or something. But
a lot of times they're just holding on to the history that they were taught, and they don't want to let go of it, because that means a lot of things that they believed weren't necessarily true, or were altered, or things were left out of the story.
Yeah.
And they don't really, and it messes with their psyche, because now they're like, wait, I was lied to? Yeah, just like there's no such thing as Santa Claus. It's like, you tell that to a mom, like, I can't tell your kids that Santa Claus doesn't exist. Okay, when I was 4, my mom was like, what do you want for Christmas? Like, you know what I mean? It just, I don't know if it's just our black family or a lot of black families. We were like, we know damn well there's no fat white man coming down our chimney. It's just not going to happen.
I don't know. The bell still rings for me. So
yeah. I mean, I still like the thought of Christmas as a fantasy. Like, the actual root of Christmas is one thing, but like the whole, there's a Santa Claus and he runs around on the thing with reindeers that fly. You know what I mean? I go, it's amazing, because I love Christmas and I love that whole story and I love this and I love that. You know what I mean? But
Tim Allen
in reality, you're like, when somebody gets upset at you because you're like, I don't believe in Santa Claus. How do you not believe in Santa Claus? I said, I get it. It's a fairy tale. I also believe in Spider-Man and you know what I mean? Like in Superman and everything else, because it's fiction. Right. And it's fun. Yeah. And I like it. And I like storytelling. It's whatever. But like, I just laugh sometimes because people are really adamant about, no, it's true. Like when Megyn Kelly was like, no, Santa Claus is a white man. We're like, no, Santa Claus isn't real.
or like mermaids can't have red hair.
Right.
My sister, she did an off-Broadway production of, it's like the OBC theater.
Uh-huh.
And she did The Little Mermaid, and it was actually her first audition with the company. And she walks in and she blows them all away because she's incredible.
You're like,
I have very specific plans for her, which include Broadway someday.
Nice. Which I'm obsessed with Hamilton still.
Oh, same though.
My friend plays George Washington in one of the casts.
Oh, love that.
Yeah.
See, I'm gonna just call you and be like, hey, here's Cameron's audition tape. It's like not even for me, because I don't ask for favors from me, but like I will stop at nothing.
And that's a good supporter. That's what you're supposed to do.
I mean, well, and I think people who know me know that I wouldn't ask if these, like, the people that I was bringing forward didn't have something to offer. And she is so gifted. But so she walked into her first audition with this company. They're doing Little Mermaid. She auditions for Ariel, but she, it's her first show ever with them. Like she had stepped away from performance for a little bit because she was in college and stuff. And she gets cast as Little Mermaid, and because she's perfect. And it's funny because it's the same year that they announced that Halle was going to be, from Chloe and Halle, was going to be Little Mermaid for Disney. So it's a big deal because she has little black girls showing up to the show with their little red wigs and they're in their Little Mermaid thing. They go, look, mommy, Ariel looks like me. And my God, Tim, I cried.
Yeah.
I cried a lot. And I tell you how devastating it was to see the kind of hate she'd get from randos. Like, she got so much hate because mermaids can't have red hair. The Little Mermaid's white. Honey, we don't know if mermaids exist. Like, I'm not.
You see what I'm saying?
Rule anything out.
But God forbid people were mad when the black dude took off his hat in Star Wars and he was black. I'm like, first of all, they're wearing armor.
Yeah.
And they're people. Who's to say that they're not black?
Yeah.
But you're mad because the stormtrooper is black? He's like, we're talking about a movie that has Yoda, right? Like, these aren't real people.
Like, why are you? And they're saying that it's like it's harming the integrity of the story.
It's not.
It's
Of a fictional character, right?
Story. It's a story. And if
That's
it's
why I
gonna
love
be,
Hamilton, because I'm like George. Like my friend's Korean, he plays George Washington.
oh, I love that.
They
Yeah.
just mix them all up. I mean, Jefferson, all the presidents and are ethnic in Hamilton, especially the original cast.
Well, yeah. And Lin-Manuel Miranda said it's telling the story of America's past told by America's present.
Right.
This is what America looks like now.
Right.
It's what
all
it's always
different shades.
It's what it's always looked like.
Yeah.
From the beginning.
Oh, hello.
From the beginning, this is what we looked like. So
Right.
so that's why, like, I just, anytime I see people going out of their way to ensure that it's, that representation is being honored, not just ticking a box and saying, oh, we have one Black person, we have one, Asian descent looking individual, because they don't even, a lot of times it's just Asian, like the box.
I know. You're like, you realize there's all kinds of Asian, right?
That's a lot.
Just like there's all kinds of Black, there's all kinds of white, there's all kinds of everything.
Yeah, you're putting a lot of people in just one little look that you're expecting,
right.
That you think fills that.
Yeah.
And then we have one Hispanic and one da-da-da-da-da. Like, that's not representation.
And it's Hispanics, well, the same as Asians and Chinese. If you call a Japanese person Chinese, they get mad. If you call a Spanish person,
they are.
If you're like, oh, I'm Brazilian, I'm from Uruguay, I'm not from whatever. It's this weird thing. Like, I get it, because you want people to kind of understand it, but if you don't know and you're ignorant about it, that's why I always ask. That way they're like, oh, he wants to know. I go, yeah, I want to know. What's the difference between Uruguay? I've never been there, and I've been to Spain. You know what I mean? What's the difference in dialect and whatever? Then they're excited because you're trying to learn their culture, which is all we ever ask for, is just understand the different cultures, right?
Yeah.
Just understand the people. Like, even in the U.S., we come from different places. We got a president who talks about immigrants. His wife is an immigrant. You know what I mean? Soon to be not president, but yeah,
Oh yeah.
If anything, look, because this is why I told people, because I have a brother-in-law who's a hardcore Republican and he's Black, right? But my big issue with him is that he's always tried to jack Black people. That's how I feel about Candace Owens a lot. Where like you're trying to tell Black people they're wrong all day long, so it just gets annoying. I can understand if you have a point of view that you respect. If you're going to be conservative, I have nothing wrong with it. I'm an independent, so part of me is conservative, part of me is liberal. It just depends on what I'm talking about, But when you're hardcore one way and then you're pushing away your own people because you feel like this is better and that you're better than your own people, then there's a problem, right?
Extremism, this is what I always tell people, is extremism in any form.
I agree.
Dangerous. Extremism in any form is dangerous, and that's why, like, you can never, I won't sit here and point fingers at anybody. I'm not going to sit here and say that, again, like how I said, there's no one way to make it in this industry. There's no one way to make it in this world. I think people of color have had a really, really, really horrifically awful time of trying to rise above the circumstances that were set out or laid out. So, I will not judge people for whatever it is that they need to do to survive. But I think it's important, like, ideally someday it would be important to understand racism. It would be important to understand the prejudices. It would be important to understand how we've internalized these things,
right?
To just be better and
exactly and understand things are different. That's why I tell people you got to travel. When you travel, your
it changes.
Different. It changes who you are.
Changes your world. Yeah, I've been lucky because my mom, like I said earlier, my mom is the most empathetic person. And I used to say in my Africana studies classes, like, a lot of my Black pride comes from my white mom, because she's the one who asked a lot of questions. She knows my dad's family history, like, as well as, if not better than he does, because she grew up knowing where she came from,
right?
Because it was recorded and written down. This white lady, white woman, like, she has, it's been recorded. But she recognized that maybe on my dad's side, it wasn't, because there are traumas, there's this, there's that, it wasn't as prioritized because it's a Black family, like, in Baltimore and all this. And so she would ask my grandmother, like ask his mom questions about their past and their history and stuff. And then he ended up hearing things that he'd never heard before because it wasn't the tradition to talk about that side of things, you know?
Yeah.
Like you just kind of, you're strong and you deal with it. And that's a problem too sometimes.
But we're powering through it. And I know you got to go soon. I know I have to go soon.
Yes. Okay.
But on a high note, I'm extremely excited for you. I'm extremely proud of you. I know, gosh, just from, like you said, from Long Beach and that whole deal and see where you've come, you know, and to not let any of this worldly crap stop you from doing what you are supposed to do, you know, and that should be rewarded. I mean, I'm always happy for good people, and you've always been a good person. Just, you know, you can tell you got good parents, you got a good village or whatever around you.
I have a good team.
And I wish you nothing but, you know, me success, and I'm going to help some of that when the time comes, of course. You know,
right back at you. It's always a pleasure to see you. Always, I know that we're living on the other side of the country or opposite sides of the country right now, but I think that like our paths were supposed to cross. I'm so thankful to know you and call you my friend, and I can't thank you enough for thinking of me for this, thinking of me for whatever, or just even, you know,
and there'll be more of these, and then one of these days I'll be on your podcast.
There we go.
We'll do all that, you know. We'll be like Rogan, you know. They always like go on each other's podcasts,
back and forth. I love it.
Charlemagne does that, not him, and Andrew Schultz and Akash, and they all got their own, but they all loop around. But that's what you do with your friends. You know what I mean? Like you support each other in those platforms, and then, you know, the next
rise together.
Yeah. So, you know, you were always welcome on this podcast, and we're gonna do this again because you and I could talk forever. So
we could,
you know, we could literally talk. I had to cut Miguel off because we were talking. It was only supposed to be an hour. It ended up being like 2.5. Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't post a 2.5 hour podcast. Like,
that's gonna be a lot of editing.
I'd have to chop it up like Rogan, to chop it up in pieces. You know? But I definitely want to have you back on here because we only covered like a fraction of what I wanted to cover. Because
I was thinking I think we only I was like feeling bad. I talked too much. We only got through like two topics.
Yeah, but those topics end up going in all these different places, which is great because it's organic conversation, and that's what it's supposed to be. But again, thank you very much, and I'm so happy for you. And we will definitely do this again sometime soon.
Awesome.
And, you know, next time you're blowing up, you got to I'm going to be like the Stephen Colbert. You got to do your press on my show, you know. And this room's going to change because I'm trying to get the room over at Conchita. So when I do that, it'll look like.
I love it.
So, but all right. So stay well. I know you guys are on lockdown over there. Or at least more of a lockdown than Florida, because Florida they don't care in Florida. It's
what's a lockdown in Florida?
Well, they just put a curfew for like 12, which means I got a friend who's one of the fighters runs a bar. He's like, we're open from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. every day, and it's packed.
Oh.
Even during COVID, because people don't want to stay home. And I went to a friend of mine's neighborhood to grab something from him the other day, and it was like 1,000 people standing on the street. I was like,
oof.
Yeah.
Well, stay safe.
Yes.
I'll be sending you good thoughts as I always do.
Awesome.
Keep on keeping on, because
we got lots to do. We still got.
There is a light at the end of this quarantine tunnel.
Yes.
We just got to get to it.
We'll get to it. All right, Sydney. Well, thank you, and we will talk to you again here on the Tim Stevenson Show. I will see you soon. All right.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Wake up! It's the Tim Stevenson Show.